Time for a refreshing performance brought to you by Corona Extra. Find the fine life. The Cowboys chose Tulsa offensive lineman Tyler Smith in the first round of the draft this weekend. Then they added 8 more picks on both sides of the ball. Owner and GM Jerry Jones spoke highly of Dallas's draft. Jerry said, "This is the best I've ever seen us work in the draft room." He added he believes his team improved, quote, "as much as we improved our team last year in the draft." Now, that is interesting because some national experts do not agree, Shannon. Both Mel Kiper and USA Today graded Dallas as the 2nd-worst ranked draft of the weekend. So what grade would you give the Cowboys draft today?
A D.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were going to go F.
I started to, but I stopped my alphabet weren't very good, Skip. That was a terrible draft. Hold on. I thought they said Mike McCarthy was going to be heavily involved. Is he responsible for this bull jive, Skip? Oh, Mike McCarthy, he's going to be as involved as he's ever been in the draft process, and I'm looking forward to it. I sure hope you're not responsible for this bull jive, Mike McCarthy. Yeah. Skip, this was awful. If you're going to take an offensive lineman, take the offensive lineman out of Iowa, Tyler Linderbaum. Skip, they have not been able to run the football since Travis Frederick retired. They were strong up the middle. You look at teams that can run the football, they're strong up the middle. Cowboys haven't been able to run the football since. Jerry says he wants guys that are available. Most of these guys, Jerry, are a year or two away. They're not going to be available for you this year. You got guys that are projects. And he told me, he want guys that are – Skip, he took a guy that had spinal fusion surgery.
He did.
He's not going to be available anytime soon, I don't think.
Clark, 5th rounder out of LSU. I have seen him make plays before, but there's no way he's available next year and you don't even know. It's a long shot on the next year.
Exactly. And then, Tolbert, Mel Kiper says a redundant Michael Gallup. Now, maybe, Skip, if he's a redundant Michael Gallup.
I mean, you could say, okay, I'll take that.
He's okay.
But you needed a slot. You needed Cedric Wilson.
Right.
You didn't get him.
Right.
You needed that Sky Moore that Kansas City took.
Kansas City guy. But, this is Jared. Skip, he said the draft was going to be unconventional, and I think it was very unconventional. That doesn't mean it's a good thing. Just because you do things unorthodox or unconventional doesn't mean it's going to turn out in your favor.
Yeah.
As good a draft as you've ever had. What? Come on, Skip, look, outside, if you think about it, Skip, outside of the linebacker they took last year, Skip, I mean, look at the second and third, look at the rest of the guys. They were just guys. Now, you gloss over that because the defensive rookie of the year was in this draft class. That's and everybody's going crazy about Micah Parsons. But if you go over there and start looking back down, look at that second-round pick, how'd that work out for him? He right now, the police, like, oh, bro, we need to talk to you some more. We're not done with this just yet. The second, the third, the fourth, down. They're not playing anything out, Jerry. So, Skip, this was an awful draft. I just thought the Cowboys reached for a lot of players that probably could have been guys that they got in the second round, Skip, they could have gotten the third or the fourth. Guys they got in the fourth round could have gotten probably the fifth or the sixth.
Yep.
The Cowboys reached for a player, but I just don't I don't see how this draft and free agency helped the Cowboys get better. Skip, if you look at what the Eagles, I'm not saying the Eagles are going to overtake them. The Eagles drafted well. You get Nakobe Dean in the third round. You get Jordan Davis. I mean, the big D tackle from the University of Georgia.
Yeah, Jordan Davis.
Yeah. You make the trade for A.J. Brown.
Yep.
The Giants get 2 top 10 players.
Yep.
You get Thibodeau and you get Evan Neal.
Yep.
And the Cowboys, you get.
Huh?
Oh, okay.
Huh?
Nah.
Shannon Sharp, you have convinced me for once. I do pride myself, as I always tell you, in being an objective Cowboy fan, sometimes overly, harshly objective. As you know, when they lose, I go crazy.
Yes, you take it hard.
Because it's my team that let me down. How dare them do that to me? That's my reaction. I had written down on this page right here that I was going to give them a C. But after I listened to the Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp, I have to reduce my grade to below yours. I'm going D- for this draft because I can't begin to sell it back to you. I can't begin to defend it. And I know Mel Kiper pretty well, and I have nothing but ageless respect for him. He's been doing this for a long time. And when he does his grades that appear on Monday for the whole draft, he's usually pretty nice to people. Like he doesn't ever go to D's or F's. But when he gives you a C+, you stink. And his reasons for Dallas getting a C+ were very harsh by Mel standards, like extreme harshness. To say this class just has too many unknowns. We don't know if Tyler Smith can definitely be a good guard because they're going to have to move him inside to left guard to start with and then ticket him for the outside when Tyron Smith retires.
Right.
And we don't know that Sam Williams can definitely be an every down player because by all accounts, he's nothing but a luxury pass rusher.
Right.
He's a third down specialist, right? And you took him in the second round, and Mel thinks he would have been there at least a round later.
Right.
And then he says Jalen Tolbert has good hands, but he's still raw. This, said Mel Kiper, bottom line, is a risky group.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how can I give him any kind of a grade? Because I told you I got a text on Friday during the show from a coach at Tulsa who said, don't overlook the fact that Tyler Smith is a flat-out monster on potential.
Right.
That he is wildly athletic, and he is a mauler/brawler because he brawled in the bowl game and got suspended for the opening game. Okay, this is like a Saturday Night Live routine for me because Tyler Smith led all of college football in penalties. He had 16, he had 12 holding penalties, and by all accounts, when in doubt, he just bear hugs.
Right.
It's called holding, and you cannot do it, and they will call it on you because now you have gone to the team with the reputation for penalties.
Yes.
They are the most penalized team in all of pro football last year.
Right.
They set the franchise record in the playoff loss to San Francisco for penalties in a playoff game. That should all fall at the doorstep of please drop the mic, McCarthy. And instead, Jerry loves him like a son. Jerry's got him more involved in the draft process. I don't know what else he does, but he's teaching them fundamentals in the offseason.
Skip, I hold my own press conference. I was not involved in this draft. I do not want y'all to saddle me with these projects.
Okay, so I reiterate. It sounds like Jerry Jones and company, that they were saying, we collaborated. What they did was, the week before, they all had a little meeting, and they said, you know what? We love Tyler Smith, and we love Sam Williams, and we love Jalen Tolbert, and we're pretty sure they're for us. Have you ever heard of a team going in and just writing it down in ink? We're going to take these three players with our first three picks.
Right.
Jerry did not trade up. He did not trade back.
Correct.
He sat still and took every player right in a row. And I think I might go deeper. I think I could go to Jake Ferguson, Waletzko, the offensive tackle out of North Dakota. I think they had them all ticketed exactly where they fell in the draft. You can say that's a good thing, or you can say that's a stupid thing because you have to react to what's happening above you. If Jimmy Johnson had gone into that, 1990 draft, you were Emmitt Smith, 90, right? Okay, well, they wouldn't have Emmitt Smith because I'm sure they had ticketed another player that they put down in pencil, we want so-and-so. Right. And all of a sudden, Jerry looks up and says, Emmitt Smith is falling?
Right.
And they immediately got a deal made with Pittsburgh on the fly to go up to snatch Emmitt Smith as he fell right into their laps.
It was perfect because Pittsburgh already had Barry Foster.
They did.
And so they didn't need a running back.
Emmitt ran 4.6 at in the 40 at the combine, and everybody said, well, who wants a back who can't run? And Jimmy says, I do.
Skip, they got 5, they had 4 fifth-round picks. Why not package a couple of those and go get and trade for a third or have 2/3?
Okay, well, they did not because they had it in stone what they were going to do. And the reason I know that, what got validated is something else happened. My Cowboys smugly did something else. They allowed Dak Prescott to call potential draftees ahead of the draft, not after we took them.
Right.
He called, well, I know he called Jalen Tolbert because Jalen talked about it, said it was surreal. He called me, and he's vibing with me on the phone.
Well, I didn't know quarterbacks did that.
It's never happened before.
No.
I've never heard of it. I've been doing this for 45 years. I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it either.
What?
Not before. After you get drafted, hey, welcome to the club, man. I look forward to working with you.
So they wanted Dak more involved in the process. So they said, here are the guys we're going to draft. Why don't you call them and see how you like them? Maybe sort of sign off on Jalen Tolbert. I don't know what you can get over the phone. He's a nice guy. I liked him.
Exactly.
We clicked on the phone, right? Okay, so let's go to Sam Williams. You know how I tell you, all I do is watch a whole lot of college football on TV. And what do I always tell you? You need to flash for me. You need to grab my eyes where I say, whew, that's a play. Nakobe Dean jumped off my screen.
Yes.
That was the steal of the draft by, unfortunately, the rival Philadelphia Eagles in the 3rd round of the draft. Don't get me started. everybody who passed on him, certainly starting with the second round, made a huge mistake. I know he had medical issues. He didn't run well. I don't care. He can play football.
Yes.
Trust me, I saw it. He was the best player to me as far as playmaking goes in that front seven. And every time I watched Jordan Davis, I said, he's the anchor of it. He makes it go. He requires a double block every time because he just blows up the middle of the offensive line. Well, okay, so the guy who went to Jacksonville, I never noticed him. I'm sorry. I'm like, well, what are you doing,
Well, see, Skip, that's what happens when you disregard the tape and you worry about the combine.
Okay.
Because ain't no way that guy 4.5 sacks.
So back to Sam Williams. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I watched Ole Miss twice. Obviously, I watched Ole Miss from start to finish against my Vanderbilt Commodores. Sam Williams had 0 sacks in pretty much of a wipeout of a game against my pretty woeful Commodores. They're coming back, but they weren't very good this year. And yet, I did watch him against Alabama. He had 1 sack that I can't remember, and he didn't leap off the screen for me. So I don't know. He's a luxury pick as just a pure pass rusher. But here we go again, same